Welcome to Markets Now. I'm Michelle Rook with Scott Varlick of Koima Varlick, and we're seeing pretty much everything higher except for the cattle market this morning. And Scott, thanks for being with us. And you are back at the homestead there doing the bull sale, aren't you?
Yeah, back home for the week. We got our 73rd annual bull sale Saturday, February 15th. So looking forward to it. Prices are good. Bulls look good. So I
Yeah.
actually get a few calluses on my hand after sitting at the computer all day. So yeah, feeling good about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've had some really high prices out there. So I'm glad to hear that some of that is trickling back to the producer here. But let's just talk about the action that we've had in the futures. We're back down this morning, but we continue to kind of hold where we need to. So that's important, but it's really all about cash trade too, isn't it?
That's what I think. Cash has been the one true factor that has turned this market around and got us out of the lows that we've had, the breaks that we've had, and I'm still holding on, saying that that's going to be the case just yet. I mean, we're just going to turn the calendar into March, and generally that's your seasonal highs for cash cattle, and I still think we have the opportunity to do so. Demand has been rock solid. I mean, it's been just years of great demand, and nothing is telling me that that's not going to happen this spring yet. We do have a few higher prices that have hit the stores, but I don't think that's going to pull everybody away from it here this spring. So that's where I'm standing. I think that the Packers came out. There was some 203 bids around, and with the large break that we've had in futures, I think expectations were they would just kind of get the cattle we'd be willing to sell, but not that willing of sellers. I don't think they're getting that many cattle bought. They've done their slow chain speed, trying some of the kill cuts, but I don't think that's gonna hold for them. It might help prop the boxes up for a little bit, but still feeling like we've got a lot of leverage for the producer, and that we're not done using it. And the time of year we're going into, I think that's going to be the factor that's going to lead us back out of here.
Right. And you saw yesterday when the cash bids got a little bit better, the board popped right away, and the futures are at a big discount to the cash. So that should continue to be supportive. Futures are holding where they need to hold, though, from a support level.
Yes, there's some of these long-term charts that have some nice long uptrend lines, and we've tested some of these lines. You can draw quite a few of them, and we had enough room to probably correct significantly and still hold some of that support. So we're holding where we need to on the charts yet, and you find a market that's oversold heading into the spring on tight numbers. I think that's setting up for some pretty good times ahead. So technically, I look at it's we've seen the funds wiggle a little bit here. We've seen the open interest come down, but still in a large part they are long. And if we can hold some of these uptrend lines, some of these major lines, I think it gives us that confidence to shoot back higher again. And I think that there's a chance. Start it yesterday. We get a little rally. Maybe we set back today just because we have a 3-day weekend coming. But I think there's an opportunity to challenge the highs that we've been at, the all-time highs, and head back there. Probably led by the cash. Live cattle cash feeders. That's what we've been leaning on. The supply's not just going to all of a sudden boom. Oh, now we have cattle. Now I think that there's more to it than that.
Well, and we're not even into the best demand period, which is coming up, which is grilling season, right?
Yep, your seasonal highs in the middle of March. That's when they're starting to buy your Mother's Day weekend. So I feel great about it. I guess it's been a little bit tough to see this last break that we've had. Maybe I'm getting a little bit stubborn, on feeling that we can do it. But I everything that I'm looking at still the reason that we got to these high levels is still there for me. We've not had any major changes. Um, we were at record highs when the Mexican border was closed, and now it's reopened. So we're getting some cattle from there. So some of these other stories, they feel like short-term kind of stories for a break, and I think we're going to be okay. And I'm looking for higher prices yet.
Okay. Do we have any weather premium in the cattle market? It doesn't feel like we do. And we've got this cold weather that's pounding down on a good portion of cattle country.
Yeah, the weather has been so amazing. I mean, a winter like nobody can remember, it feels like, until just as of recent, we're finally getting some snow and some wind and cold temperatures, and that we've been feeding these cattle long days, putting the extra weight on them, and it's paid to do so. It's been a little bit of a band-aid on the production side. It's a way to, make up for some of these less numbers that we have. So we've been well above year ago levels, and it's paid us to do so. You got $1.10 cost of gain, or better, whatever your numbers are, and you got $2 fat cattle. It pays to put some extra pounds on them. So we've been seeing producers do that. Plus the feeder calves are really high, so they say, I'll just keep what I have. I'll put more weight on what we have. Corn's been cheap, relatively cheap on the cheap side up until here as of lately. But I don't think that we've, with no challenges that we've had, this snow is kind of hitting some of the southern areas, and I feel like that we've not penciled into the market, and it's going to put our first little challenge on it. What was winter? Was it in like a lamb, out like a lion? So if it is out like a lion, it's going to challenge some of those weight gains, and could add to it. So I feel like it's not in the market, to answer your question yet, and has the possibility to do so if we keep extending it out.
Gotcha. Hog market back up after a bit of a correction yesterday. It seemed like we couldn't get through some of those chart resistance areas. Probably you'll get through those though, you think, here, especially since cash and cutouts have been so strong.
That's kind of been the leader. Yep, cash cutout been very strong. We saw all the high isoine feeder pig prices here as of late over the last month, and that was kind of evident from some of the disease issues they had, and following through to the cash market. So it's starting to just kind of show up. I think the tighter numbers, and we've really been fighting off tariff news pretty well. For me, it was a market. We broke out of the top side of this little range here, and then kind of stalled out. I'm not in the camp to say, hey, we got to get long at 105, 106 and try to hope for higher. So for me, I think we're kind of getting near the high with all of the uncertainty that's out there with trade, a market that really needs to live on that trade. I would feel like it hit the brakes just a little bit here yet, but trend is higher, and it looks pretty good as far as a breakout. So I'm a little bit missing that one, but I would be gearing up for a little bit of a correction here.
Yeah. And we did see the reciprocal tariffs announced yesterday. Actually, they're going to be delayed now until April 1st. And so is that helping give the grains a pop, or are we just seeing some short covering here, just some outright technical buying because we held some support areas we needed to yesterday?
The corn for sure continues to impress. That's been, the funds are long, and we've got, tighter ending stock numbers. The demand has been good. So been a nice steady uptrend. It's if you're wanting corn to go higher, that's the way you want to see it. Just a nice grind higher, and feels good. It really hasn't had any major hiccups. If you're looking for a spot to say, hey, when is this going to run out of gas? I think you got some really nice trend lines that you can look at. I mean, if it starts to break those, then you might have to reverse a little bit. But you've got the corn being strong with the funds very, very long. Beans, they're maybe in a little bit more trouble. I wonder which one was going to give. Is it the corn or the beans?
Yeah.
As they really were trading opposite each other, and beans finally gave in and turned around a little bit here, kind of following. And the wheat market leading, up 15 cents today, and unsure if just because we're making some of this new news with Trump talking to Putin saying it's okay. Well, maybe there's some more turmoil over there. So it's just kind of in the news a little bit, and we hear about it. We haven't traded it all that much, but could be the little bit of a shot in the arm is getting that wheat market higher today.
Well, and right now we're looking at some cold temperatures in some of the wheat areas that haven't had much snow cover, but we also have the dollar down pretty hard. So that probably could be factoring in there too, right?
Yeah, dollar has been pretty important, but I feel like that they're handling the trade news pretty well, overall, because that dollar matters to what kind of exports you're going to get. But been able to fight that off. At least
Yeah.
we've been down this road. We've seen the tariffs. Uh, before we've had him as president, so it's nothing new. Feeling like maybe we can get to the drawing board just a little quicker because we already know what Trump can do, what kind of tariffs can be slapped on. So maybe there's that confidence there. But for me, we're gonna have to start looking ahead a little bit as we turn the calendar into March.
Okay. Thanks so much, Scott Varlick with Coima Varlick. That is Markets Now.